All right, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Goose Island Beer Company, and they are out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Bourbon County Brand Vanilla Rye Stout, and this is the 2024 release. So this is a rye stout aged in rye whiskey barrels with Madagascar vanilla beans. It comes in at 14% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed, time of review. This bottle is just over 4.5 months old and also has a drink by date of July 31st of 2029. So they give it a 5-year drink by date, and that seems to be the norm for most of the Goose Island Bourbon County beers nowadays. So a couple weeks ago, I reviewed the original stout, which is the base stout, and I thought it was quite good, but a bit underwhelming and disappointing compared to prior vintages. I gave it a 4.2 out of 5, which is a really good score. It's just when you're comparing it to prior vintages, which I typically give like a 4.4 or 4.5, they're usually really good. Disappointing. It was a bit too thin, and the barrel dominated, so you didn't get that like rich fudginess you typically get from the base. Last week, I reviewed the Macaroon Stout, and I liked it better than the base. I gave it a 4.3 compared to a 4.2. However, a lot of the adjuncts weren't really noticeable. The cacao nibs came through, a little bit of toasted coconut, not much of the candied ginger. It was just a disappointing variant, but it's still really good. 4.3 out of 5 is a fantastic score. It's just, I love toasted coconut. Macaroons are fantastic. It just fell a little bit flat. So this week, I have the Vanilla Rye Stout. Now, full disclosure, I had the original release of this back in 2014. I actually had it twice, and I gave it a 5 out of 5, both times. Just an absolutely amazing beer. I love rye everything in real life. I love, rye bread. I love rye beers, so rye stout, sign me up. I love beers aged in rye whiskey barrels. This beer is me as a, this is a beer that is made especially for me, even though it's not. It's just like in my wheelhouse. I really like vanilla. It just sounds great, right? So they're bringing it back for the first time. I think they did the vanilla beer a couple years ago, but it wasn't vanilla rye. And this sounds great. Now, I've seen some reviews on YouTube. I've seen a bunch of people check this one into Untapped, some friends on Instagram talking about it. And the prevailing thoughts that I see is that most people enjoy this one, more so than the Macaroon and the base. However, the people who really didn't care for this one, the vanilla seemed a little bit too overboard and like vanilla extract, even though they're brewing this one vanilla beans themselves. I have no idea. That's why I'm here to review it. What do I think about it? I don't know. I'm hoping it's delicious, and I hope I pick up on rye. There's a couple people too that I trust their palates quite a bit that say they don't really get a lot of the the rye component to this one, which is crazy because it's a rye stout, Imperial Rye Stout, Asian rye whiskey barrels. Like, you would think that you would get that, but maybe not. We'll see. So much like the base and the Macaroon, this is pouring out a little bit thinner, but not as thin as the base. I would say that the base one was just, when I poured it out, you could tell it was super thin, like really thin. So this one, while thin, kind of looks more like the Macaroon, I would say. So what does that look like in the glass? Well, it's a very dark brown, kind of has like a cola or root beer vibe. It's like dark brown at the base. On camera, it's going to look pitch black. Nothing you can do about that. But yeah, it has about a third of a finger of this dark brown colored head. It is dissipating to a thin film. Usually the Bourbon County beers, you very rarely get a substantial head. There is alcohol legs everywhere. You could call them sheets. Definitely very prominent on the glass, but it looks nice. It really does. Let's get a nose. Wow, I'm actually getting quite a bit of rye. Again, I've seen some reviews and people saying, "Where's the rye? Where's the rye?" In the nose for me, I'm getting it. Yeah, it has that sharp kind of spicy rye character. Like a really nice like marbled rye bread, or even a darker rye bread. There's some chocolate in here, like maybe a 50% cacao bar. Some dark fruits, plums, prunes. Yeah, definitely prunes. And then what's blanketing that is a huge vanilla character. You didn't think I was going to talk about the vanilla? Yeah, no, the vanilla character's here. And to me, it has a vanilla, and I've heard this already, but it has that vanilla cake frosting. Even like a vanilla like buttercream frosting, like you might see like on a carrot cake or something. It has a rich vanilla vibe to it. It doesn't smell extracty to me, like it doesn't. It smells like actual authentic vanilla beans. But it's very sweet. Like, if you go too heavy on the vanilla, which has vanilla has sweetness to begin with, and then you have a big 14% beer, you got to watch those adjuncts because if they're sweet adjuncts, like it's gonna enhance the overall sweetness of the beer, and that's what's happening here. It has sweet, rich, decadent, but like if I was a betting man, I would say this might be a cloying beer based on the nose. I go back and now I'm getting this nice chocolate vanilla kind of vibe that's almost fudgy. What I am not getting, believe it or not, is a substantial like rye whiskey barrel. There's a booziness here for sure. And you could tell it's barrel aged, but there's no way I would specify rye whiskey, but maybe I would because I got that rye up front. So maybe I would put 2 and 2 together if I was doing this blind. But it seems like it's disjointed, like the rye stout is separate from the rye whiskey. I don't know how that is, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it smells really good. It smells so, this smells more so than the macaroon, like an actual dessert. Where I thought the macaroon stout was gonna smell like a macaroon, taste like a macaroon, it really didn't. This, though, however, tastes like some kind of vanilla. Like I said, like you have like a cake or something, like a chocolate cake with like a vanilla buttercream or just like a buttercream or a vanilla frosting. Something like that's what this smells like. It smells pretty good, though. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Okay. I'm going to say this right now. Best body of the 3 readily available Bourbon County releases this year. The 3 readily available, and I see them, like I go to my local Wegmans grocery store and they still have them just sitting there on a shelf. The original, the macaroon, and this. The Bardstown, I pretty much get everywhere, but like in limited amounts. Here in the Western New York area, I didn't see any of them. I know they did show up, but like in very limited amounts. I didn't get my hands on one, so if anybody has an extra Bardstown or knows where you can get one, let me know. I would love to grab it and review it. But I didn't see it, even though I know we did get it here in the Western New York area. But this is the best body of those 3. This is actually a nice body. This has that medium full kind of viscosity that I anticipate from the lineup. Like this is really nice. This is almost full body. It has a nice viscosity to it. It almost like a fudgy kind of like, it's not you're chewing the beer, but when you're holding it in your mouth before you swallow it, the sip, it definitely has like just a thicker vibe to it. The mouthfeel is nice, mild to moderately carbonated, smooth going down, a touch of creaminess, but the body's better than the mouthfeel for me, but really nice body. And I'm glad because even the macaroon was disappointing, a little bit thicker than the base, but this is better than both as far as the body's concerned. To be honest with you, taste is kind of weird. And weird in that the nose did not carry over to what I thought, much like the base, where the base beer I was getting Wegmans Ultimate Chocolate Cake in the nose, like it was fudgy, it was cake, chocolate cake, and then you taste it and it's like, yeah, what happened? I don't know. That's kind of what's happening with this one. The nose was screaming again, like I kind of said, it had like a chocolate cake kind of into a vanilla kind of frosting, buttercream I was talking about. I got the rye in it, spiciness. Didn't really get much of the rye whiskey though. In the taste, I could get the whiskey, but I'm not specifying rye in the taste. So first thing that hits me up front, I get a little bit of like a fudgy chocolate. I would say more of like, maybe not fudgy, more like I said, like 50% cacao bar in the taste is more like just a sweet dark chocolate, maybe a 30 or 40% cacao bar. It's a sweeter dark chocolate as a whole. There is a prune, plummy, kind of sweet dark cherry vibe throughout. The vanilla is omnipresent. Like the vanilla is definitely here, and it's front to back. And the thing is though, it's not that rich, decadent vanilla I was getting in the nose. It's more like a tepid, light vanilla character, but it is omnipresent. It is literally everywhere in the palate, but it's just not the same characteristic I was getting in the nose. Halfway through to maybe 2/3 of the way through the palate, the whiskey hits. And it's definitely a whiskey / bourbon, like for sure. It has like a caramel toffee, kind of peppery note, slightly spicy, but it's not rye. It's more like a pepper. Finishes with a firm dryness. This is like bone dry, mild bitterness on this one. A touch of oak tannin. Maybe the vanilla is also being accentuated by the vanilla you typically get from a bourbon barrel or a whiskey barrel, oak barrel in general. Yeah, I'm not getting a lot of rye in here, and I was getting it in the nose, and that's very disappointing for somebody who is a self-proclaimed rye lover. Again, it's hard to convey thoughts on these Bourbon County beers because even the worst non-infected Bourbon County variants, or I should say base, and then most of the variants that don't stray too far off the beaten path, they're still really delicious. Like this is a great barrel-aged beer to me that I'm going to sit down for the next hour, hour and a half and drink the rest of. I'm going to contemplate every sip. I'm going to probably pick out even different notes as it warms up. Even though this was out of my darker beer fridge at 54 degrees Fahrenheit, it's going to come up to room temperature in the 65, 70 degree realm. And it's probably going to open up even a little bit more. But the nose was substantially better than the taste. The vanilla is more of a dominant note on the palate, but it's not a vanilla in which I was getting in the nose. Like if that nose carried over and I was getting like that chocolate cake with vanilla frosting kind of vibe to the base with I was hoping this beer based off the nose was going to drink like you had an awesome chocolate cake with vanilla frosting that somehow had like a bourbon drizzle on it, or maybe bourbon infused or whiskey infused. That's what I was hoping, with maybe like a rye spiciness over top of everything. And I'm getting almost no rye. The rye whiskey is coming off more of just a generic whiskey. And I do enjoy, I think the base is shining through in this more than the other two beers. And I think I like this more than the other two beers, but not substantial. Again, that's not substantially better. It's just, I don't know. I love the body in this though. This is the body that I want from a Bourbon County. Like it makes it fun to drink because it's so thick. And when you have a sipper like this and you're going to spend time drinking it, like that body needs to be there. That's the biggest disappointment from the base, was the body is just like, eh. This, however, makes up for it. How do I kind of sum up this beer? Well, it's 14%, huge warming in the chest. I think this might be the least boozy of the bunch. The base, again, the barrel was very intense, very boozy. The macaroon had some booziness to it. Do I know this is a bigger beer? Sure. Huge warming in my chest. On the palate, though, there's no huge like alcohol acidity, maybe a slight like alcohol drying kind of finish. But this is a very easy drink. This is a very easy drinking 14% barrel-aged Imperial Stout. Regardless of the adjuncts and the fact that it's a rye stout and rye whiskey and everything, it's very easy to drink. It's probably my favorite of the three, but it's not much better than any. Like they're all within that like 4.2, 4.3, 4.4 realm. That's kind of where they all land. And that's disappointing because usually you have at least one variant that just kicks ass each year, and then the base is usually just good. Like everyone looks forward to the base because it's the cheapest of the bunch, and then you throw into consideration that it's the most readily available of the bunch. And if you're drinking a 4.5 out of 5, Bourbon County original stout base, you're usually happy. And then the variants are, well, it's either going to be great or it's not, but it's almost double the price, and that's kind of a bummer. But this is the best of the three, but if I take price point into consideration, I don't think this or the macaroon's actually better than the base from that standpoint. Again, if we take into consideration price point. So, rating on the Bourbon County Brand Vanilla Rye Stout, the 2024 release, I'm going to go high 4.3 out of 5 and go 4.35. So I gave the macaroon a 4.3. I gave the base a 4.2. This is slightly better than the macaroon, a little bit better than the base. But when we take price point in consideration, I might opt for the base this year. And knowing how underwhelming and disappointing that beer is, that says a lot. I don't know. I would love to try the Bardstown because everyone says that's like the best of the four that made distro. Everyone's saying the rare is the best from the entire release, but that was Chicago only, just like the prop. So did they do 2 Chicago only releases this year? That kind of sucks, honestly. But it is what it is. So 4.35 out of 5 for this one. And this pales in comparison to what I remember the 2014 Vanilla Rye being from Goose Island. I gave that a 5 out of 5. That was also 10 years ago. My palate was in a different spot, but that beer blew me away. It's good. It's very good. It's, dare I say, pretty tasty. Just not worth it. Anyway, price point availability. Price point. Here in the Buffalo, New York area, $24.99 a bottle. I know that the variants like really wide, like just they vary so much depending on where you are. I know in like some places in like the South, I've seen pictures before where like the variants of like this is like $19.99. That's crazy. It's a $5 difference. Now, I am in New York State, so, you know, where everything's a little bit more expensive, taxes, the whole nine. But this is $24.99. I paid $13.99 for the base. Is this worth $11 more, almost double the price? It is not. It definitely is not. And that's coming from someone who said the base was disappointing to some degree. That's a crazy price point for this and the macaroon when you take in consideration, you know, the base and the price point. Now, if this beer was like a 5 out of 5, yeah, I'd pay that $24.99 all day, every day. No questions asked. Now I'm curious, should I pick up a bottle of this and the macaroon and the base and age them? I, you know, have a lot of beers in my cellar, so maybe not, but maybe I should. I really don't know. And availability, it's the Bourbon County lineup. If you see the base, you should see this variant and the macaroon. Those are readily available. They hit pretty much distro wherever you see Goose Island. They're available on Black Friday. Whether or not they stay on the shelves depends on how many craft beer lovers you have in your area. But here in the Buffalo, New York area, they're still readily available. So keep that in mind. So yeah, anyway, I want to hear from you guys. Post in the comment section. What did you think about this? If you were to sum up the base and the two variants, the macaroon and this, what's your favorite of the three? Well, you know, what order, 1 through 3, would you, where would you, you know, put these, like in terms of an actual one, a list? I love lists. I always talk about lists, but if you're going to rate them 1 through 3, I want to see that list. I want to see it in the comment section. I want to hear from you guys because I'm curious. For me, it goes vanilla rye, macaroon, base. If we took price point in consideration, base, vanilla rye, macaroon. And that's all I got to say. Like I said, 14%. I feel it, you know, my chest. I'm starting to feel it as a whole. No astringency. I love the two things about this beer I love. Hides the alcohol relatively well compared to the other two offerings, and it's the best body of the three. Those are like the two shining, you know, the two characteristics of this beer that really win me over. But, and there's always a but, still disappointing to some degree. So I'm going to shut this one down. If you guys want any more bourbon, so next, I'm going to post this towards the end of 2024. If you want me to see, or if you want to see me review, I'm already going to have it. If you want to see me review some other variants and other vintages of Bourbon County, let me know. I'm doing an all Imperial beer theme month in January, most likely, and I will definitely dive into the cellar and grab a couple Bourbon Counties and review them. I think that would be fun, especially on a Sunday like this, and just kind of sit down and enjoy it. So if you want to see that, also post in the comment section and let me know. So yeah, I'm going to shut this one down. If you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about it, along with your ratings and everything else that I talked about in this review. It's a longer review. It's the Beer Patrol. You know how we roll here. If this is under 20 minutes, crazy. If it's 25, appropriate. Shutting it down. Cheers. Where's the rye? I have no idea.